Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Maranatha Kure. I'm an attorney licensed in Massachusetts. At this point in the Rittenhouse trial, the best thing for all sides is for the judge to declare a mistrial. Or let me put it this way, if the judge did declare a mistrial, that would be the best outcome for all three parties. Why is that? So when I say three parties, the parties I'm referring to are the jury, the defense, and the prosecution. And maybe not so much for the judge, but it's his job to take the flak. And here's why. So let's start with the prosecution. Now, starting from here, if you haven't watched any of the trial or reviewed any of the evidence yourself, I'll challenge you, regardless of where you are on this politically. This has become a very, very politically charged case, and it has been since the beginning. So I'll challenge you to, at the very least, watch the opposite side of your own beliefs. So if you're a Democrat, watch some videos of Republicans or right-leaning people. Watch some of their videos, and the same thing for the other side. The reason is the best advice I would otherwise give is tell you to watch all 7 hours for each day that the trial went on. But most people just don't have that time. Now, I watched most of the trial, all hours, played it in background while doing other work. And here's what I'll tell you. The prosecutor's case was terrible. And I mean that in terms of the case, not just his presentation. The case itself was not good. My theory is this, that the prosecutor had a bad case from the beginning. He knew, well, he wasn't totally aware he had a bad case. Maybe he thought he could salvage it down the road. But he had boxed himself into a corner. You see, from the very beginning, it would have been almost impossible for him not to bring this case, not to file for an indictment in the first place. That would have been almost impossible because of how racially charged this case was. So he almost didn't have a choice. But his rhetoric, as well as the rhetoric of others in his office and in the government, kind of made it so difficult that he had to bring a case in the first place. Now he did, and he's brought the case. But his case is just not very strong. The evidence doesn't support what he is arguing. And you can tell this from the fact that he had to change his argument midway, right? When he started the case, the point was that Rosenbaum was shot in the back. Now, I think he was trying to do a kind of technical truth. Just, if you hear me say that, what you're thinking is someone is running away and he gets shot in the back. But that's not what happened in the case. Rosenbaum was jumping laterally. And because he was facing this way already when the bullet went out, it shot him in the back. But he was always in front of Rittenhouse. He was at no point backing Rittenhouse. So now he made that point in the beginning, and when you hear it, like I just said, it sounds really bad. But when you watch the videos and you watch the evidence doesn't support what he said. Now, the only real piece of evidence that they have that has any kind of, that gives them any kind of a case is the drone footage. And if you've seen the drone footage as well, you know that the quality of the drone footage isn't very strong either. The pixels are, the quality, the definition is very low. And the image that was enhanced using AI is as blurry, if not worse, than the video itself. So, and then there's also the question as to, now when you're doing a trial, the kind of technology you use is scrutinized very highly. The reason is anybody can come and claim they have a degree in this and just say anything on the stand. And as long as the jury don't understand it, they'll take it at face value because this person has a doctorate or has some other kind of credentials. The court tries to avoid that. So you have to authenticate both the video and the images and the processes used to either create the video or the image or to store it. And the method used for that particular video wasn't very good. So what you now have is a prosecution that doesn't have a very strong case. Now, many people argue that the prosecutor was acting irrationally, and it seems like he's trying to get a mistrial. And when people say that, they kind of say it in a deriding way. But after looking at it, considering the fact that Binger isn't a newbie, he's been doing this for a while, I think that's actually the strategy. If you're boxed into a situation where, okay, if If you lose the case, it looks bad on you to a point. But if you lose the case because you have a really terrible case, as it is in this case, then it looks bad on you definitely. But what if the judge declares a mistrial? Now you can point a finger and say the judge did it, not me, right? So I think he may actually intend for the judge to declare a mistrial because there is no way a reasonable jury will come back with a guilty verdict. The only count that I thought could get a guilty verdict was the sixth one because Rittenhouse allegedly was underage and had a weapon, and he wasn't supposed to, according to Wisconsin law. Now, it turns out that there's an exception to that law that allows anyone over the age of 16 to have a weapon, as long as it's not a short barrel weapon. So, what do you have? Nothing. The prosecutor has nothing. And that video alone isn't going to do much for him. So a mistrial will be the best outcome for the prosecutor as well. It gives him a way out. Now, for that same reason, we come to the jury. The jury is the second of the three parties I was referring to. Think about it from a jury's point of view. If you are the jury that in this big, huge case where most people are not actually listening to the issues, and this is one of the big issues the US has right now, people don't actually know the information that's out there. People don't actually know the truth about things that actually happen. The media spins things in a particular way. And if you think about it from the incentive structure, the media is a business. They're there to make money, and they make money by having views, eyeballs, and having clicks. And so whatever will bring them the eyeballs and the clicks is what they do. That is just rational for any business to do, right? No business wants to go down. So in this case, that's what the media does. If you see right-wing media versus left-wing media, is the exact same thing. Each one knows what it needs to say to get eyeballs on its pages, depending on its demographic. Know that every business knows its target market, right? They're marketing to a particular group of people. That's why conservative books are usually very pessimistic and angry, because they're marketing to the fears. Conservatives are in the defense right now in terms of the way the system works. 20 years ago, they weren't. But right now, with the way the system is, they're on the defense. And when someone is on the defense, what gets them riled up is just that, right? The anger of being on the defense. And so a lot of the news frame their things in that way, in a defensive way. If you look at liberal news, however, they are more on the offense, right? And so they frame things in that particular way, and they do things also that they know that their audience will listen to. Liberals are more likely to listen to things racially charged and anything relating to race, sex. Liberals are more likely to get charged than conservatives will be. So if you watch a lot of liberal news, MSNBC for instance, that's what you hear the most, and you should expect that. That's their target market. You have a jury that's caught up in the middle of this. They are going to be the jury that will declare that Rittenhouse is not guilty. But know that most people haven't watched this case from the beginning, so most people don't know what's going on, and they'll be angry. Those protesting outside likely haven't watched a lot of this case, or if they have watched it with a conclusion in mind. Now, a majority of people don't look at things that way. You might be right-leaning or left-leaning, but when facts come in front of you, you're likely to either change your mind, or if you're not changing your mind, at the very least, you won't demand something that's unjust. But most people haven't looked at the evidence. They literally do not know. So what's going to happen to the jury? The jury will be afraid for their own lives as well. But what if the judge declares a mistrial? Because there is evidence for it. The prosecution actually has created a good case for prosecutorial misconduct that could lead to a mistrial with prejudice. Now, the jury would be released from that, right? So if there's a hung jury or Rittenhouse is found guilty on any one of the counts, especially the murder counts, then if the judge declares a mistrial, the jury wins as well, because now they have an out. They actually found him guilty. Now, how about the defense? Well, for the defense, they've done a relatively good job compared to the prosecutor. Here's the thing: the prosecutor had no case. the prosecutor shouldn't have brought this to trial in the first place. This is something that could have been settled out of court if necessary. But they didn't. They didn't because they were trying to make a point. But the prosecutor had no case. So for the defense, they've already done most of the hard work. And so this would be a good outcome for them anyway. And so what do we say about the judge? Well, here's the thing. Judges are designed, or they are trained. They should have the mindset of being able or willing to do whatever is right, regardless of what the popular opinion is. That's the hallmark of a good judge. A good judge should be able to look at a case and ignore both their own personal feelings and look at the law and look at the application, which is the facts, and decide based on that what the right thing to do, what the right decision is. So the judge shouldn't be afraid of whatever blowback will come from the community. He should be able to take it. And this judge so far looks like he can. It gets him many times, especially when he talks about the media stuff. But he can do it. And overall, it may be controversial for him, but he'll ignore them and keep doing what he's doing. And so overall, I think that the way it's framing out, and the prosecutor may have figured this out as well. The best option for all parties is if the judge declares a mistrial. But we'll wait and see what happens at the end of this. Thank you guys for watching. I'll get back to my regular programming on this channel from my next video. Thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.